Hi, everyone out there. I'm Elaine McElroy, chairperson of the Wellfleet Housing Authority and chair of the 8-member 95 Lawrence Road Rental Housing Task Force. And I'm talking today with Jim Hood, who is chair of the Wellfleet Water Commissioners and also a member of the task force, to provide you with some background information on Article 10 that's coming up at our town meeting on Saturday, September 12th. And there's also a question on the ballot for our special election. Election day is September 8th, but early voting has started. So it's going to be an unusual town meeting this year, to say the least, but there are many people working very hard to make it as safe as possible for all of us. But we felt it would be helpful to get some information out to you ahead of time, considering the circumstances. So that's what we're here to do today. Many of you know that last year, understanding the critical need for more rental housing to serve our community, to serve our workforce, our young families, our seniors, at town meeting, voters unanimously approved using 6 acres of town land at 95 Lawrence Road for the creation of affordable rental housing. After town meeting, the town administrator appointed the task force, and for the past year, we've been working on this project, and we have now completed a request for proposal to get out to developers. In the process, we did become aware of an issue with a limitation of our secondary water system that needs to be addressed before we can proceed. Article 10, which was proposed by the water commissioners, presents a plan to remediate the secondary water system to better serve the town and to allow these new homes to be created for our community at 95 Lawrence Way. So Jim, I've got a bunch of questions for you.
Sure.
Okay. Can you give us background on Article 10 and its importance to creating this new housing?
Well, as you were saying, Article 10 will provide for borrowing authorization for, and what that is for installation of a new water main from the original well site, the Coles Neck well field in the northern part of town, and bring it down Route 6 and into town along Briar Lane. That's approximately 2 miles that this would be bringing in, and it would provide service then not only for the existing customers, but also expand the opportunity for water for all of the properties that would abut the water main from coming down from the Coles Neck well field down into town along Route 6 and Briar Lane. That well field, the Coles Neck well field, was developed back in the 80s to service the area around the landfill. And at the time, the town installed a very small, limited capacity water main there that only is able to draw 40,000 gallons or provide hydraulic pressure for 40,000 gallons a day. We're not at that level even now on the average. I mean, the average is about 34,000 gallons a day from that well field, for the system. But, and our primary water source now is the Boy Scout Camp well field, which is out near the Council on Aging on Old County Road. And from that source, the water comes down into the center of town and then also fills the water tank. Now, in the event that there is a problem at the Boy Scout Camp well field, and that site is offline, we would be reliant on the Coles Neck well field to supply the town with water. And for example, we did have an issue back in June of this year with a major lightning strike at the Boy Scout Camp well field, and we lost one of the 2 wells there, and it took several weeks to get that replaced, and including the controls for the system. So it's not likely that we would have this kind of a problem, but the state does mandate that we have a secondary or redundant water source that will meet the town's need in the event of that the primary water source is unavailable. So the Boy Scout Camp Wellfield is that primary source. The Coles Neck Wellfield is our secondary or redundant water supply. So with the construction of the affordable housing project, we're going to see an increase of estimated increase of about 9,000 gallons a day, from the 33 to 34,000 gallon average over the year to 43,000, which would be in excess of the capacity of Coles Neck Wellfield to provide water. Just by way of comparison here, what does that mean in terms of the volume of water? Is that a lot of water? I just want to point out that, for example, that Provincetown draws about, on average, now this is over the entire year, 665,000 gallons of water daily, and they go up over 1 million in the summer months. We are nowhere near that. We anticipate that even in the height of the summer, that our water usage would be in the range of 80 to 90,000 gallons per day, and then fall back to somewhere between 40 and 50,000 in the winter months. We have more than adequate supply of water. It's really great water here in town. Wellfleet is considered as some of the best water on Cape Cod in terms of treatment. The only thing that's added to the town water is a small amount of a buffering agent, potassium hydroxide, that raises the pH of the water, so that it prevents corrosion of pipes. And that's essentially it. We don't chlorinate the water routinely. The only time that any chlorination is added to the water is when there's any work being done on the pipes or for flushing of the hydrants. And so the cost on this, the 3.84 million, is it's a substantial sum of money, but we are looking to get grant funding to the extent possible. And we just completed and submitted this past week a major request to the state's Office of Housing and Economic Development through their Mass Works program for a grant to improve the infrastructure of the water system, which will then put us in a position to provide, be able to proceed with the housing project.
Well, thank you so much for your work on that. Greatly appreciated. So let me just summarize, make sure I understand. Our Boy Scout Camp well provides plenty of excellent water for the town, no matter using anywhere up to 100,000 gallons. But our secondary, sometimes called the redundant water system, can only accommodate 40,000. There are occasions already where we go over that in the summer.
Right.
And so even without adding the housing at this point, where we have some points where we're not meeting the need should it arise, should the main well go down. And these kind of projects that are supported by the Mass Works grant that you did are very much tied to supporting the creation of affordable housing.
Correct.
So that if the town is willing to support this request, which I hope they are, it's really putting us in a better position to get potential significant funding for the project.
Right, and I would add that what it does is that it is a benefit for the entire system.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Can you expand on the benefits that doing this will provide?
Yeah, well, in addition to being able to support the new housing project, it will provide, as I was saying, for an additional 80 properties, potentially 80 properties to connect to the water system. And again, there's adequate water supply to cover all of those properties. The other thing is that it will provide fire protection to a much larger area of town, which is of critical importance to us. It will also serve some commercial establishments on Briar Lane that are required because of their food service establishments. They're required to do routine testing of their water, and in the event that they have elevated levels of sodium or nitrates in the water, that then the state can and does from time to time require additional monitoring to ensure the safety of the water supply for those establishments. So it's a win-win in terms of housing as well as development, commercial development, and operations throughout the town. And so it improves the reliability of our water system. That is, it's the prospect of another lightning strike is probably very limited, but it can happen. And, we do need to protect this. It's a critical resource for the town. And it's the cost on it, we're hoping that we'll get a substantial portion of this funded through grant programs like MassWorks.
Right. I've learned a lot about water in the past year, and the task force has really appreciated having your expertise on board. And as part of that due diligence, we collaborated on a grant and did receive $100,000 from the Small Town Housing Choice program that the state offers to study the situation and begin to get a handle on it. So that was wonderful. I think you've explained a lot of what had seemed to be complicated issues very, very succinctly. I know we're going to have a challenging town meeting. I'd like to encourage people to reach out with questions. There will be a pre-town forum on Wednesday, September 9th at 7 p.m., which would be an opportunity. However, the voting is before that. So if people have further questions, I'd love for them to reach out to us in some way. On the town website, there's information on getting in touch with the water commissioners, and on the Housing Authority site, there's a way to email or call with questions. So I really would encourage everybody to, reach out and ask any questions you have, and hope you'll support this really.
I would agree that it's important that if people do have questions about the water system, anything that I've mentioned here, that feel free to call the water office and to get, and Rebecca Eldridge, who works in the water office, can put you in touch with one of us on the Water Commission, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that may come up.
Great. Anything else? That you've answered all my questions. Anything else before we sign off?
Well, I have one point that I would like to make people aware of, and that is, if I haven't said it enough, is that the state's requirements with respect to secondary water source are critical here. That we cannot move ahead with this project, with the housing project, without fixing this issue with the water main. And even if we weren't doing the housing project, that's still an issue for the town. That's been our Achilles heel for years now, that we've had this undersized water main. And here's an opportunity for us now to fix that, to get some affordable housing in place, and really strengthen the overall the system, the water system for the town.
Right. I would really encourage the town to support this, you know, for the safety of our water supply, and for really putting our efforts behind making sure our wonderful Wellfleet is an inclusive community that through this project and other things we're working on can offer housing options to the people that are doing the work of our community and want to make Wellfleet their home. So let us know if you have any questions. As Jim said, contact the water office, and you'll be seeing us at all the pre-town meetings, and look forward to seeing you all there.
So our phone number at the water office is 508-349-0330. And Rebecca can put you in touch with us easily. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.